When you are making decisions, is fear ever a factor? Is there anything you are afraid of?
I don't think fear can enter into the business world. I think you have to be confident. You have to have educated information. I mean, you have to really seek out whether it's data, whether it's anecdotal, whatever it is. You have to have that decision-making opportunity. You have to trust all levels of your company. I get worried when too many decisions roll up to the executive suite. We're so decentralized. I mean, we're close to our clients and customers. So decision-making, you have to trust the team. But I don't think you can have fear. Your people and your clients are looking for you to be confident, not to have fear.
Similar to what you said. At the end of the day, when you have really hard decisions to make, it's very rare that you step back and if you ask, what's just the right thing to do? The right thing for the employees, the right thing for the share owners, what is the right thing to do? Generally, the answer to that question is pretty obvious. Now, pulling the trigger and executing on it is sometimes difficult, not fearful, but it's difficult. And there's apprehension once you pull the trigger about what happens next. But no, I don't think fear is into it.
Tom?
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you were fearful, you would probably make wrong decisions more than you would make right decisions. I don't think that would be a very good emotion to be have that sort of brewing in your head or your heart, so to speak. Like Randall said, I think a piece of it too is, when you do have tough decisions, I'd say 9 times out of 10 the answer is fairly obvious once you go do your homework. It's as much as, once you pull the trigger, the execution part, it's really explaining it to people, because it's amazing to me how people can literally look at an issue that seems crystal clear to one group, and yet another group can come at it from a completely different angle. So trying to get as many people aligned as possible to minimize the collateral damage is a big part of, I think, managing some of those tough ones.
People have asked me, what do you lose sleep over? Which is a different way of looking at that same question. And it's the change you bring in an organization and bring it in a way where people are engaged in the change. When fear sets in an organization goes into gridlock, right? And if people know why you're changing and internalize that and have a chance to voice their point of view on it, they'll move mountains. Even if those mountains create risks for their jobs, they'll go make it happen. It's always been a phenomenally impressive sort of trait of organizations.
How do you go about doing that in these harsh financial times when you have to lay people off, where you have to just give your employees the bad news? How do you break that down, and how do you still keep them motivated?
As long as you're upfront and you've walked them through it, I think a lot of times you assume people aren't maybe as bright, or they're not going to grasp the facts. But I find, the more facts you arm people with, they actually are fairly intelligent and do grasp generally the situation. So I'm just a big believer in, I guess, over-communicate and educate.
But people don't want it done to them, right? So if you engage people in the business issue, we just merged 2 big companies, 2 big beer companies. And it was clear that there were huge overlaps in the organization. And I would say we lost almost nobody in the transition, which was remarkable. But the team did a great job of engaging the whole company in going through what we should look like, what the job should look like, what the selection process should look like. And it took, as much as we could, it took fear out of the picture and got people engaged in the change.
Perpetual, persistent, nonstop communication. And if you're going to set a course for your organization, your business, I don't care where you are, if you're going to set a course and you want people behind you, there has to be just a relentless communication. And we have a mentality in our company that communication has to communicate to people where they receive their information, and not everybody receives it the same way, the same types of information. And you got to be hitting texting, you got to be face-to-face with people, you got to be doing email, you got to be doing written to some folks, you even drop mail to people's homes. But you have to be relentless at communicating.
Everyone has a different point of reference of how they want to be communicated to. What is, we may think we're communicating the way companies did 10 years ago. That's not enough today. So you really have to cover all bases and over-communicate, but communicate with the business case to the very front line versus just thinking that only 8 or 10 people in a boardroom truly understand it. The real people who understand it are your ambassadors in the front line.